All right, guys. Welcome to Tar Heel 24/7. I'm Jacob Turner. He's Andrew Jones. And AJ, I just got to say, it feels really nice to say welcome to Tar Heel 24/7. And I want to ask you, because I can't remember if it was on a YouTube video, one of the comments on our YouTube channel, on our new message boards, but someone wrote a comment essentially saying something like, he was like, it was kind of weird hearing AJ at the Bill Belichick press conference introduce himself as Andrew Jones, Tar Heel 24/7 or 24/7 instead of Andrew Jones, THI or whatever. It's funny because I thought the same thing when I listened to the Belichick press conference day on the way home. I was on vacation, for all those who didn't know. You said that because you were the first one to ask a question. And it almost took me back for a second. I'm like, yeah, we are Tar Heel 24/7 now, man. It feels good. First, before we dive into takeaways from today and talk about the press conference and getting to see practice, all that jazz, just talk to me a little bit about how it's been so far in this, 36 or so hours that we've been a part of this awesome new network. Because it's been fantastic and so exciting for me, and I know it's been the exact same for you.
Well, first of all, I was relieved I didn't screw it up, number one. And there's two ways I could have screwed it up.
You did.
I could have said Tar Heel in the last place we were, or I could have said Tar Heel 247 like you and I did in the pod last week. And
yeah, that's
we got a very friendly email the other day in font size 860 in bold and underlined and italics. It's Tar Heel 24/7. We're not 247. We're 24/7.
Stand up.
Full disclosure, people in the media always just refer to 247. Mm-hmm. And that's all I've ever heard before, even though it's 24/7. I know it's 24/7. You look at the logo, it's 24/7, mm-hmm. But it's like a slang in the media. So that just naturally came out with you and me. So I'm just grateful that I didn't screw it up. And Bill had a little bit of a smirk or something, or a smile, because I said so. Maybe he's like, hey, AJ, I'm only joking here, guys. AJ didn't screw it up. No, he maybe run laps or something like that. But no, he has no idea. But I am grateful I didn't screw that up. I used to not be a big fan of the whole, Andrew Jones from such and such. I don't, because I hate making it about me. It's not about me. I'm just the guy that's there. I'm the liaison. You give me the bag, I pass to the next guy who's got the bag, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But, there's also the importance of marketing and promoting. I think it's really important people know that's where we are now. So I did it with joy, with glee, and I didn't screw it up. So I'm very happy about that.
I thought the same thing when you said it too, because it's like it wasn't that I just wasn't expecting it, because usually a lot of these press conferences, especially under Mac, you don't even have to say your name, you know who you are at that point. But under this new regime, it's been kind of a theme in the press conferences we've had, and rightly so, because they're still trying to figure out who we are. But it just happened so fast in the video, because the first question, like I said, I'm driving down the road and I was like, oh yeah. And you said it with a little bit of swagger too, man. Like you had a nice little Andrew Jones 24/7.
Appearances may contradict this, but there's some swag going on here. Actually, you know that. I mean, I don't tippy toe into the room, and I don't Claude my way into the room. There's a glide.
Yeah, you glide there a little bit.
It's not the same glide it was when I was 20.
Hey, 10,000 steps a day. What's the streak at now, though? I mean, what is it?
What's today's date? Second,
so August 2nd.
It's 1,543. No, 1,544. 1,544.
You have a little bit of a stride if you're doing that for that long. I'll have to say that. So,
yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna get more of a swag because the first 48 hours could not have gone better. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into practice stuff today, but thank you to everybody who's given us a chance. We know that there are a lot of very loyal people on there from the previous site, and I get it. Carolina fans are so fortunate. They've had two great sites. A lot of programs don't have two great sites in these networks. Carolina fans have been fortunate. We were a great site. We're going to be a better site now, significantly better, significantly different, significantly deeper, significantly better resourced, and we're going to do a wider range of things. We've been asked questions on the boards about, are you going to cover baseball? Because you didn't cover baseball the other place. And my response was, because we didn't have the resources. And that's what's interesting now. Now I can finally tell the story. We had nothing before. No, nothing.
It was tough. It was tough. You know how much I harped on it.
We could only do so much. Mm-hmm. And now we're gonna cover baseball. I don't know if we're gonna cover what extent we're gonna cover it. We will. We're also gonna be on the women's basketball program. I don't know to what extent, but we will. And we're gonna hit on other stuff. There are a lot of storylines around campus we want to get to that we simply did not have the manpower, time to do, and because of the broken cracker packs, that you get a cracker pack and just smash it up. You open it up, pour it out. That's what I was paying you guys. Mm-hmm. You guys were grateful for the crackers.
Oh, yeah.
The crushed up crack. And I said, look, there's, when people say a rock, I picked up a rock and threw it, but it was once a bigger part of a bigger rock. So is it really a rock or just part of a rock? I said, yeah, I just gave you like 5,000 crackers to do the job. Be grateful, even though it was one cracker and 5,000 pieces.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a ton of stuff. I have a very open mind about ideas from staff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Response from people has been fantastic. We didn't know how they were going to respond because a lot of fans are territorial. Some of ours at the old site, very territorial, very tribal. Same thing with this. But the bottom line is Carolina fans want good coverage. In the end, they want to be loyal to good coverage. They may be loyal to certain people, but if those certain people don't deliver the goods, they're not going to be loyal to them anymore. Mm-hmm. We're going to deliver the goods. Mm-hmm. We're going to deliver the goods every single solitary day. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
And part of that is what we saw today in the coverage we saw today, which is people have been waiting for 7 minutes and 36 seconds for us to get into that.
Yeah. And they have to wait 30 seconds longer because bear with me too, as well. I'm still working. I just got back from vacation. Get involved in the comments if you've ever been to White Lake, North Carolina, or you know what I'm talking about. I've met so many people from this state that know exactly where it is. It's a family tradition of mine. We go every single year. I just wanted to throw it in there as well because I ask people a lot, and it's amazing how many people I used to go there as a kid, or I know exactly where that is. Get involved in the comments on that. But I'm
Jacob,
still working.
I've known you for 8 years, and I always thought you guys went to Lake Waccamaw. So I'm
you're not far off. That's not far down the road. But no, White Lake, which is not too far from Fayetteville, relatively like 35 minutes or so from Lumberton. Not too much going on out there, but yeah, it's a family tradition spot for us. Not that anybody cares about that, but let me know in the comments.
UNC Pembroke around there?
Yeah, that's where UNCP is in Lumberton.
Our very own Kevin Roy played baseball at UNC Pembroke.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brave, man. But bear with me because I'm working on kind of rebranding some of this YouTube stuff and getting new overlays and all that jazz, intro, all that stuff. So I'm going to need some more time to do that. But I popped the new logo on this overlay, and that's what we're going to rock with for now. But just wanted to throw it in as well because I don't want it to look like the old site. I want it to look fresh and look new and look different. So just bear with me on that because I literally just got back about 3 hours ago, recording this about 9:00 at night. So
yeah. Keep in mind also, we don't typically talk for 8.5 minutes off topic before getting into things. We're doing it right now because there's so much newness going on. We wanted to hit on some of these things early in the pod. So we're now going to shift over and talk about football. I guarantee the next time we do it, we won't spend 8.5 minutes.
No, we actually try to get in them as soon as we possibly can. So let's actually dive into this now. Yeah. I want to start with
appreciate y'all's patience.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I want to start with the Bill Belichick press conference. We'll talk about afterwards a little bit about the press conferences. You got to talk with Max Johnson, Caleb Hood, Kamari House, and Marcus Allen as well. And then we'll talk a little bit later to wrap it up about some takeaways from getting to watch practice for 15, 20 minutes this morning. But let's start with the Belichick press conference. Went about 18 minutes. My over under in my head was about 16.5 minutes. So I was pleased to see it went over 18. And I thought overall some really interesting and good stuff from Bill Belichick this morning in that press conference. But I mean, like I said, you got to ask the first question. I know what you asked about, but what were some of the more interesting, notable takeaways or answers or things that you kind of took away from that press conference? Because again, I thought there was a lot of good information in there if you actually sat down and listened to it, which you can find that video on our YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, and in the report, I think what we're going to probably do moving forward, one of our changes is that we're going to bullet point some things from the presser and not spending, load up 1,500 words about it. We're going to use that for other content items. So I bullet pointed some stuff from the presser so people knew what they were getting into. A couple of things that stood out to me. And yes, more information. And I'm going to go into why I think there's more information here in a minute. Remind me in a minute. He acknowledged that they ran guys out in the spring. And he says there's no need to run guys out now. Obviously, because where are they going to go? There's no portal. But more to his point is that they're under the 105. So they're in a really good they're operating from a really good place. They got under 105, and these are the guys they want. And I have made a point as I continue to learn about him and his program and Lombardi and about their approach and, chat. Now that we're around the program some, I can chat with people, and there are other people I can reach out to because they're really a little bit more apt to say things now, is that there is a Belichick way of doing things. There is a Belichick climate with everything. And it's something that you just can't flip a switch on. It has to slowly accrue over time and become the norm and become the DNA of the building. And what I find very interesting is that when you look at the remaining players, the ones that are still there in the program that were there a year ago, they survived it. They have embraced that way, which is different than before. Mac, tremendous success, Hall of Famer long before he came out of Carolina, deserves everything he gets, but there are a lot more ways to win than just his way. Belichick's way is a little bit different, and it requires a lot. It required a lot of weeding out. Weeding out occurs anyway now, but the way they weeded out was, well, ultimately you're either a Belichick guy or you're not. And they do that with recruiting. When I talked to Seth Gutman, I'm doing a podcast with him. He's our football recruiting director. He's been in the recruiting offices, worked in Michigan, Georgia Tech, and Carolina. He knows exactly what it's like on that side of things. So he's going to offer a very unique perspective to this, is that he understands if a program has a certain kind of guy. And that's how they earmark it. Sometimes fans are like, why did they offer that guy? Well, maybe he's just not that kind of guy. Nothing wrong with him, just doesn't fit in. It's just some people like Wheaties, some people like Raisin Bran, right? Mm-hmm. So if you like Wheaties, you just stock up on Wheaties. You don't go buy Raisin Bran, that kind of thing. And we're kind of learning what the Belichick guy is all about. And we're seeing that now when the kids are saying stuff. Is it different than what they said under Mac? Are they paranoid about being who they are? No, they're allowed to be who they are because they're comfortable because they're Belichick guys. Now, we'll go into length later on this month before we get to the season about what is a Belichick guy, because I'm still seeking out people's opinions who are around this, what they think a Belichick guy is. But he said they moved guys out. So he was doing a Belichick weeding out process. And that's what you saw in the spring. So you have it's like a chosen squad. They are the chosen ones. And I think that that's pretty interesting. And I think that that's why some questions he's been asked the last few weeks about how can you put together a squad with 70 new guys and march forward and play a game September 1st? Well, they all want to be there. You don't have stragglers right now. You don't have guys that are looking this way and looking that way. They're all looking straight ahead. And that's the Belichick way. So he did it in the NFL when he had far fewer choices, far fewer options, and he's done it here. He even mentioned today they had 4,000 kids, high school kids, come through this summer in a variety of different stuff, camps and 7-on-7s, all kinds of stuff like that they are able to look at and market, or not market, but mark, where they fit in the pecking order. I thought that was very, very useful, and it was sort of a comment that kind of came and went. But when you know what's behind it, there's a lot of information behind it, and there's a lot of stuff to glean from it. He said that, and I didn't even know what he said the next 15 seconds because I'm overwhelmed in my mind, kind of churning the wheel at everything I just said. Yeah. And it connected the dots of some things I've been told the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
So I thought that was great.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting. I wanted to ask you real quick. This is in the report. You can link to our website below. By the way, 75% off promo going on right now. Links in the description. It'll take you right over to our new website, Tar Heel 247. You can go ahead and sign up. Come on and join our awesome community. I promise you won't regret it. And again, it's an amazing deal right now that, again, isn't going to last forever. So take advantage while it's out there. But in the report, I thought one of the quotes was, somebody asked somebody, kind of, what's the primary mission? What's the primary goal of this next month or so in fall camp before the season starts? And to quote him, he said, quote, the biggest thing for us is to evaluate the team and go from there. And you kind of read that and you're like, you can kind of view that in two ways. You can say, okay, you take that at face value, or is that just kind of a coach speak answer that you've heard a coach say a billion times before? And I wanted to ask you about it because, when you think about the situation, Carolina's going into with fall camp with all this newness, like you just mentioned, all this roster turnover, Bill Belichick guys who want to be there, being in the program now. You can I think you can almost take that quote at face value and say, yeah, it feels like they probably are still trying to evaluate what they've got right now because of all this newness here. How do you view that? Do you take that quote at face value? You were like, maybe there's a little bit of coach speak in there. Maybe he has a little bit better idea of actually what he has right now than he's leading on to.
I'm not yet ready to put a flag in the soil and make this statement, but I'm going to tell you that I'm considering doing that. I'm not sure there is coach speak with Bill Belichick. I think if he doesn't want to say something, he's not going to say it.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, that was one of the other things that struck me as well, which is why I include that quote in that little mini write-up. Because most all other coaches, well, we got a game in 31 days, 30 days. We got to get ready. Like there's this sense of urgency to streak through the install on both sides of the ball and get into game prep. Figure out your depth chart now and get in game prep. We got a game to play. He's like, no, we're evaluating. The game will come when the game comes. We're evaluating. That's his way. That's how you win 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 8 as a coordinator. He lost Super Bowls too. He's been in a lot of them. What did they lose, like 4?
Something like that.
6-4, 6-3. He's coaching 9 Super Bowls or something as a head coach. So there's no sense of urgency to him because you don't want to miss anything. And again, that goes back to we had to get to the 105. Musa Gazlang, and he noted where we found schools for him. So I think this is a situation where when people talk about the brilliance of Bill Belichick, I think part of the brilliance is he just doesn't miss stuff. He catches everything. If you go too fast and you're only focused on what's at the end, you often don't see a lot of these things here, and you can miss some really important stuff that you'll need to know when you get to the end. And so with that, I think this is a 100% sort of an NFL approach. If you don't get as good as you can now and take each day, the whole stacking reps, stacking days, which can be a saying that kids say because they hear it all the time. They believe it, but sometimes fans look at it and say, that's just player speak, coach speak, but it's literal. And that's why the importance of the next thing you stack. If you stack something bad and it's wobbly and not solid, and you stack 10 things on top of it, it could fall. Mm. So to support the 30th thing you stack, the second and third thing better be really strong. Mm-hmm. And if they're all equally strong, nothing falls. There's a building process. He knows the game's going to come. I asked him if he was excited. I asked him, I said, do you get excited? You still get excited? And are you excited? And he smiled. Yeah. Because to him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought he would say.
Look, I'm excited to be at 24/7 for all the reasons I said before. This is my I just started my 30th year doing this stuff. I've interviewed the most famous athlete in the world, at least in the country. I've interviewed a lot of the most famous athletes. I've been around them, been in a lot of locker rooms, seen a lot of stuff. And I'm as excited as I can be. It's Christmas morning and I'm 9, and I still believe that he came down the chimney. And I'm like, how can he fit? But anyway, Belichick, I think, is excited because there's something to prove here, but he doesn't wake up every day saying, I've got to prove these guys that I can do this. He knows there's a process to do it. It's like baking a cake. You can't rush the batter. The batter has to be done a certain way. Otherwise, the cake doesn't work. Mm-hmm. He knows what he's doing. And that, to me, the calmness, the sense of security in the process, if that trickles down, because teams always mirror their coach. Last year, Mac got unraveled. His team got unraveled. There's no coincidence. Right now, if they reflect him, it'll be very interesting to see how clean they are in the first night. Because that's one of the first question I asked him was, in the NFL, you had plenty of opportunities to see your guys against other teams. They got, kids always tell us after about 2 weeks of camp, man, I just want to hit somebody else. I'm tired of hitting my own guys. Well, you get to do that in the NFL and get to learn a lot. So the question was, how do you work around that? I mean, that's different for you. We work around it.
Yeah, we just deal with it.
Oh, I've never done that before. This is what I've called 46 coaches, and I dug up Hayden Fry and asked him if he can help me out. And I went back to Newt Rockney and asked if he can help me out. No, we just do it.
Yeah.
There's such a sense of calmness, confidence, and security that it has to trickle down to these kids. And that's one of the reasons why every time I'm around Belichick, I have more reason to spread optimism to Carolina fans that if they have the personnel, I don't think they're going to be bad. They may not be great, but I don't think they're going to be bad, and I think he'll improve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just comes off as he's just not fazed about a lot of that stuff. And he's always coming. People have been following Bill Belichick for a long time with what he did with the Patriots, and it was hard not to with how successful they were, at least during my childhood. That's always kind of how he came off. There's other ways, people have described him too, which we won't go into. But again, there is that kind of calmness, that assuredness, and we just deal with it how we deal with it. It's probably a little bit too with him of, I've been around the block a few times. I haven't been around the block in college, but it's football is football. We approach these things the same way. And I think, again, you are right. That coming from a guy of his stature should trickle down. You expect it to trickle down to the people under him. And again, that's why he's had so much success. So yeah, I think his press conference, I'm glad you kind of wrapped up the takeaways of the press conference with that, because that was one of my biggest things with leaving, after listening to the press conferences. Man, he just I feel like anything phases him. He just, let's do this thing. And that's kind of how it felt like today. So yeah, I thought it was a really good press conference overall.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The whole on to the next thing that people love to say, and we hear it 800 times a day around media. Mm-hmm. And I actually did it in my mission statement. Or no, I did it in my mission statement or something. I've written so much stuff the last couple of days. I'm not going to overuse that. I think it very quickly can become trite. However, today was one of those moments when he said that I had I get what on to the next thing means. It's not a shtick. It's like, okay, we won by 20. We lost by 20. We won on a 60-yard field goal. We lost on a 60-yard field goal, overtime, whatever. On to the next one. Yeah. That's in the past. Can't do anything about it. We'll learn from it. We'll look at the film. We'll learn from it. We'll move forward. On to the next one. That's what that means. It's not a shtick. It's not some guy who it's like a little kid who tells a joke or says something funny, like a 5-year-old, and you laugh, and then the kid says it 500 times in a row, and then you stop laughing. Yeah, I think with Belichick, it's like, look, he's not shticking in his world. Okay, on to the next one. Yeah. That's real. Yeah. I think it's genuine. So no coach speak. I think I'm almost ready to put that flag in the soil.
It's good to know.
There's Belichick speak, but I think most of Belichick speak is what he doesn't say. Mm-hmm. Belichick speak is what he chooses not to say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I hope you're right, because I'm not thinking about it. I'm good on the coach speak. I'd rather just keep it real. we don't need the coach speak around it.
I'd rather coach just say, I'm not going to answer the questions. I don't feel like it. And he did that in Charlotte. He was asked some questions about, what would you do to help college football? I haven't been through it, so I can't answer the question. I defer to somebody else. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. He doesn't have to be a know-it-all. Some people believe they have to answer every question. I've got to have an answer for this. Or, there's personalities that you see, a variety of people, whether it's friends on Facebook, when something happens politically or in the news, or on Twitter, whatever it is, and they feel like, I got to let everybody know what I think.
Yeah.
Or the people who, there's a question, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to BS my way through it so I can look good. Belichick isn't going to BS through anything if he doesn't know. He said, I don't know. Mm-hmm. On to the next thing. On to the next question.
Yeah, and I think that resonates more with fans, and I think a lot of fans. I don't want to speak for fans listening to this, but I feel like a lot of fans would rather hear that than someone who's just coach speaking to you all the time. And you're like, is that true? Like, how much can I look into that? Do I really believe that? You know what I mean? I think people would rather just, in any walk of life, would just prefer to be dealt with in a straight up manner like that. And I don't really have an answer for that, and I'm not going to answer it. And I think that's perfectly fine. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that. I don't want to say changes throughout the season, but how does that transform as the games goes on? Does it change? Does he stay the same? Is he kind of the same individual if they're having some success, or maybe they're not having some success? I think that's going to be fun to watch. But from everything I've seen with Bill Belichick over the years, and he's got a long storied history, it doesn't feel like he's going to change too much in that respect, which I think is good. So,
well, you brought up a good point. So I have two things to say now. Number one, I hate coach speak as a journalist because you have to write what the coach says. Okay. There are times where you're putting this is what the coach said about this. I know this is coach speak, but I have a journalistic obligation to put that in there. sometimes we ask the obvious question. People, what, man, that's a really dumb question. It's obvious what he thinks. Well, you can't write that he thinks it unless he tells you that's what he thinks. You can't read minds. So the other thing is, I think it'll change a little bit because we'll actually have games to ask questions about. We'll have fourth down calls. We'll have penalties. What went wrong in this game when he blitzed you for 199 yards rushing off left tackle, that kind of thing. There'll be specifics. So we'll learn in time how much he's interested in going into specifics. Mm-hmm. The I don't know, or I really can't answer that because I haven't experienced it, that won't come up down the road unless somebody asked him about playing in Charlotte. Guys, it's like 6-7 weeks away. It'll be the smallest stadium Bill Belichick's ever coached in.
Oh, yeah. By
there you
long
go.
Shot.
So somebody asked him in October about the NC State game. Oh, I don't know. I haven't had that week yet. That's the only thing he's going to say I don't know about. There'll be specifics. So that'll be very, very interesting. But I don't think his approach is really going to change. Mm-hmm. If he chooses not to talk about something, he won't tell us. And I think that's fully within his right. I've adapted, Jacob. I was talking to somebody in the media relations over at Carolina today after all this stuff was done. And I said, at first I was annoyed, and I whined some of our pods last January and February. Well, we haven't talked to Belichick yet because we were so used to Mac. Come on in, guys. Mac was the guy that brought you in. There was a 9-course meal waiting for you, right?
Yeah.
Belichick's the guy he's out of his mailbox. He may not say hello. Yeah. He's that kind of neighbor, right? So I was talking about this. I say I fully adapted, and I actually like it because this is a different challenge for me. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to find other ways to squeeze every drop we can and do it and make it useful. Like, I didn't put anything in there about the defense on a report today because I didn't see it, so I'm not going to force it. Mm-hmm. There's no point in doing that. But I squeezed what I saw. Felt like I got a decent amount about it. We're going to talk about here in a second. I just think that's the approach to this, to the way they do things. We're not going to get off the record with Belichick. I was told that today. Okay, fine. Don't complain about it. Make what you get work better.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. Let's move this thing on. Let's move it on to the player interviews. I want to talk a little bit about those. And I don't want to go through them individually because we'll be here for 6.5 hours. I've already been here for about 30 minutes.
I promised my wife I'd watch a movie tonight. I've seeked that life balance, so I shall watch that movie tonight. I have no idea what it is.
AJ went to Walmart today for like an hour. And I was joking with them off camera. I said, there is 0% chance that happens at Target.
Walmart, to get stuff for them,
yeah,
right, and watch a movie in the same night. Now, just pray for me that it's a movie I can tolerate. But if it's not, that's life balance, right?
It's life balance, man.
Sitting through some of the crap she wants to watch.
You were looking for it, man. Sometimes it comes with the territory.
You want to be a more attentive husband? Well, here you go.
We're going to watch this rom-com, and you're going to like it. I love it. We'll have to report back on us next podcast. We'll have to ask you what movie you ended up watching. I'm very intrigued to know. So you can go watch that movie in a little bit. Let's move this thing on. You talked to Max Johnson, Caleb Wood, Kamari House, and Marcus Allen. Just, again, I don't want to run through these guys individually, but anything from those interviews that stood out that you're kind of like, oh, that's an interesting answer. I know the Max Johnson one was is obvious with, it was a powerful interview. Some things he talked about, I really thought I might never walk again. And, it's not even 12 months later now. And he says he's at 100%. Bill Belichick says he's 80%. Regardless, he's out there practicing and preparing for the season. I mean, it's a magnificent story in itself, but what are some of the biggest maybe quotes or things that were answered that kind of, stood out and you maybe were like, oh, that's interesting.
I'm riding the vibe wave right now. I've been really working hard to get a vibe on Belichick. So I'm getting on the program, and I'm going to hit on each of these 4 kids. I didn't know we were going to go this direction with it, but I thought maybe it's the best way to do it. What popped with each of the 4? I'll start with Kamari House. Mm-hmm. The University of Washington does a very good job in getting these kids prepared to speak to the media because we've talked to 2 now, and I thoroughly adore talking to Thad Dixon. He is incredibly fun to talk to. We did a podcast about him being a fan favorite. Kamari House comes in like he owns the room.
Yeah.
I was thinking when he was up there, I said, this guy's going to go on a job interview at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I see him getting the job just because, I want this guy to be around me, and whatever he may not know how to do, I'll work with him on it. That's what grabbed me about him. And after he was asked some questions about being from LA and in North Carolina. And I remember what Thad Dixon said about the trees. So when Kamari finished, and he was the last one we did, I said, Kamari, Thad said that what blew him away the most were the trees. And Kamari's like, man, the trees, they're so big, they talk to you. So there's like 8 California guys. I said, do you California? Because somebody else was asking about questions about the California guys are a clique. And the house that he lives in, he lives with all University of Washington guys. So these Huskies are probably got like purple and gold in there and stuff. And they're all from LA. So I said, do you guys ever kind of get together and complain about the heat? Man, he said, man, this heat is unbelievable. He says, I've never experienced anything like this before. He says, but it makes you tougher. So that was after the presser, but I was just very impressed. I can see him being a guy that can communicate on the fly. He comes across as very smart. The Belichick teams, if you're going to look for an identity on Belichick teams, that sometimes not always the case in college, is I think that they have a chance of being great in pre-snap. So the ones I've talked to so far, smart kids. It was interesting with Marcus Allen. I said, this is your 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 years. And I asked him earlier, I had also asked, I'll go back to what I said about, ask Kamari about Belichick in a second. I said, you're 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 years. Differences in communication, not totally, but it was a little bit more polished. He didn't use that word, but that was the word that kind of came to me that he was trying to explain. It's a little more polished right now than what he dealt with before. And that goes back to Steve Belichick, because Kamari did not want to talk about Washington. I'm here at North Carolina, that's what I'm going to talk about. I said, well, I got to ask you a Washington question, because you guys played for the national championship and your defense was rated 99th in the country. Steve Belichick comes in and you're 26th in the country. What did he do that was different, that improved you guys, that maybe was a problem the year before? And he gave a pretty good answer. I don't remember exactly the specifics, but a lot of it was just the high level. Mm-hmm. You know, he said it's just the way he communicates, the way he gets guys to do things, and he's got all this information in his head, because look who raised him, and his job is to try to impart that on all these kids. And he says he's really good at it, and that there was they recognized that immediately last year on the Washington defense. Quickly with the other two, Caleb Hood, we got him. I think if he's healthy, the versatility of what Caleb Hood can do and how he could drive defenses batty you can run a lot of vanilla looks with Caleb Hood out there and do some pretty interesting stuff, because he can throw it. I think he's a guy that can run the wheel route. I used an example on the board today about that 75-yard run against Appalachian State. Now imagine him out on a flat or even a wheel route doing that. He can run, and he's strong. He can physically get through the first couple of levels. I think they're going to use him in a variety of ways. You can put him back there in Wildcat with some stuff, and he can throw out of that. And I do think, they're going to run a pro-style offense, Jacob, but I think they're going to throw wrinkles in there. They're going to throw wrinkles according to the personnel. So when coaches love to talk about, well, we got to install, day 2 of install, these guys are installing, but I think they're continuing to install as part of the evaluation. Going back to what Belichick said, we're going to evaluate, and we're not going to try to put this round peg in a square hole if it's never going to fit. So let's try to find a round hole for the round peg. And maybe that's what Caleb Hood is. I don't know if Caleb Hood is an every down back, but I think he's useful. And if he's your 3rd or 4th back and can throw a lot and you could do a lot with him, I think it's really, really helpful. And if there are injuries and there's attrition, you got a very experienced guy right there who could have gone elsewhere and stayed. And there were questions before about how tough is Caleb Hood. I got that around the program, and he's still there. He must be pretty tough. Mm-hmm. And Max, I'm just going to say this about Max. We're going to do a separate pod about him this week, but he took a lot of crap. A lot of people weren't very enamored by him. He took a lot of crap because of the way he played. Good, he's out. We don't have him anymore. This is real life. I told y'all that we were told that the doctors weren't sure he'd ever walk again, and he almost lost his leg. We reported that last year, and he confirmed that today and went through the story. And how can you not pull for the kid? And what's interesting too is that Belichick said he's 80% around there. Max said he's 100% fully cleared. I don't know how to decipher what's there or not, but I can say this: haven't been around athletes as much as I have, and guys that are strong-willed like Max. Without that, he's not playing again. A lot of guys would have said, "Screw it, I'll walk with a limp the rest of my life." He's laying in that hospital bed in Minneapolis, and he's got a lot of people, and this is part of his answer to a question I asked. He's got a lot of people telling him a lot of stuff that wasn't good. And all he's thinking about is, I'm going to get back on the field and I'm going to play. And with the strength of his faith, it's going to make it happen. And with the support system of his family, it's going to make it. He said his parents had to change him for a while. That humbles you. He's not 4. He's in his 20s, and his parents are changing him.
He's been in college for a while too. Yeah,
and he had all that thrown at him at that age. Here he is. That's only, even if he doesn't step on the field this year, that is a massive positive. It's a huge story, and Carolina fans need to embrace this. Forget about what you saw before, because from a football standpoint, I'm still going to throw the numbers: 47 TDs, 12 interceptions. 789 pass attempts in the SEC. I don't care who you are. That's not bad. He may not look like Drake or Sam, which Carolina fans got used to, but that doesn't mean he cannot be effective. And maybe through everything he's been through, he might even be better.
Yeah, the more we talk about him and the more you've heard from him and see him and you hear things that we've talked about on here before about how quickly he's recovered. It's like the closer we get to the season, I'm like, I keep saying, it feels like it's Gio Lopez's spot to lose, but the love and height, what you're hearing about Max Johnson, you're like you said, with the stats and everything, you're like, as we get closer, I'm like, I could easily envision a scenario where he plays, you just can. And who knows what's going to happen. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's these things you hear and it's hearing from him. And you're just like, man, this story's and how cool of a story would it be if he ended up being the guy or ended up playing a lot for Carolina, being really good for Carolina this year. I mean, amazing. It's what makes sports as awesome as it is at times. So yeah, it's a great story. And I mean, just good for him because again, it hadn't even been a year yet, AJ, and to recover from where he's at in less than a year. It's amazing, man. And it starts up here. It definitely does. A
couple of us were told, I can't reveal too much. We were told last September, don't know if he'll ever walk again, don't know if he'll walk right. Because he did not take a step until like mid-October.
It's crazy.
Sometime in October. Did not take a step. And I remember I was in the press box at Fenway Park for the bowl game and just taking photos. This is my first time in Fenway. And, you think a seam head like me, I would have been there for a baseball game at some point. So I did superimpose a game in my head and envision the Orioles winning like 16-2.
Of course you did.
The Orioles won 16-2 in that game, by the way. The one I envisioned in my mind. But anyway, just checking out just a glorious, glorious place. And I'm looking out there. I said, wait, 14? Max Johnson's out there on the field. Now, he was wearing sweatpants, but he has jersey on, and I took some pictures and a little video, and, of course, people are bashing him and stuff like that, but it's like, this guy was not – his mom and dad – I didn't know at the time – his mom and dad were changing him 2 months ago.
I know.
There he is.
It's crazy.
That's a tough dude, man. He's tough here, and he's tough here, and he's tough right here.
Yeah, and that's
why he was out there today.
Yeah. Yeah, it just makes the QB situation that much more intriguing. Let's move on to what you saw in practice today. And again, I'm going to preface it. You've already talked about it, but it's in the piece we put out as well. Again, links in the description. Head on over to our website and get signed up. 75% off promo going on. Go ahead and do it. I promise you won't regret it. But about 18 minutes, you said, of getting to watch them. Mainly because of where the defense was positioned, a lot of the takeaways, most of them, if not all of them, are offensive orientated. So a lot of what we're going to talk about in here is offense. If we have another opportunity to see the team in practice during fall camp, which there has been some talk about potentially, we will obviously try to get some more on the defense. But this is going to be mainly focused on the offense because were you kind of stuck in that same corner we were in last time during spring ball?
I staked it out. I knew where the invisible line was, and I didn't dare cross that line.
Yeah.
That was the cornfield in Iowa. I didn't want to cross in there because I didn't know where I'd end up.
Yeah.
So I stayed right there, man. Like, no, I'm not crossing. I kept looking at my toes to make sure I was good. Yeah. My toes aren't on the line, so the free throw counts. All fun. I understand why they're doing it. I'm not going to complain again because it is what it is, but it is what it is in a good way because it's who they are. So we're learning who they are. We get to know more about the whole DNA of the operation. So what I saw, watched the quarterbacks were nearest too. We were nearest, so that's good. I watched them. Torrey Newkirk just popped out.
Yeah, that was a surprising one of your takeaways. That was one of the more surprising was I didn't have a Torrey Newkirk on the agenda of things I was going to hear in this report, but I thought that was intriguing.
But let me say this, though, so people don't, oh, man, Torrey Newkirk. It wasn't because he looked great. He just, like, I was drawn to him. Still kind of not together yet physically because he just arrived. So he's got to have a year in the weight room, and quarterbacks at the weight room, too. Just throwing, body movements, all the different agilities that they do to become the physical specimen that they need to be at that level. He's not there right now. If he was thrust into a game, you'd see a lot of high schoolisms out there just because it takes time for anybody. It's not a slight to him, but man alive. By the way, he is already the greatest Carolina quarterback of all time. ...
Yeah,
has an apostrophe in his first name.
I can't argue with you on that one. Get involved in the comments if you can, but I can't argue with that one.
Yeah. Tell me, find somebody if I'm wrong.
Yeah, find somebody if you can.
So I just thought that he looked interesting. He looked intriguing, and there was more wow to him than I expected. I didn't expect any. I wasn't even going to really look at him.
No.
So Gio and Max was clapping hard, talking. I don't remember him clapping like that last year. There's a gift. It's a gift that he was out there. And you saw it, and sometimes that can strengthen someone so much and just take them to places maybe they previously couldn't have gotten to. So who knows what that? But I love the spirit. Gio's kind of loose. They had a song playing, and he was doing kind of this stuff, which I think is fine because you want them to be who they are. And that's one of the things about the whole Belichick DNA, the whole Belichick program, is that, you've qualified for all these things, so be you. Within the boundaries, you've gotten through the boundaries. We didn't kick you out. We kept you in, so be you. And that's part of Gio being him. And I thought that was interesting because at times I've seen practices before under previous coaches, and not the last one, but before, and other schools too that I've covered, where they put music on and you got like half the team dancing. That's not good. It's too much. But if one guy's just kind of doing his own thing and he's in himself, I have no problem with that. I think that that's healthy, and that's what I saw from him. As far as throwing, you can't help but watch Max Johnson throw once, and then Gio make the same throw 4 seconds later, and see the difference between Max's release point here and Gio's release point here. He's 6 feet tall, and I don't think he's a centimeter taller. And Max is 6'5". So there's a big difference. The ball comes out differently. They're different athletes. Carolina's going to have a pro-style playbook. I think you can run a lot of the same stuff with both, but you can't run the exact offense. What you can do is you can use part of some of the pages for Max that you can't use for Gio, and they're going to be able to use some pages in there for Gio that they're going to have to tear out when it's Max. So that struck me a little bit. So it's not 2 carbon copies or anything like that. There's some differences there.
Was there more zip on either? Just out of curiosity, is there more zip on Max Johnson ball than Gio Lopez? Or I know obviously the way it comes out is going to be completely different.
I would be doing something I said a few minutes ago. I don't think people should do. I didn't see enough.
Okay.
Nothing deep. I saw nothing deep.
Fair enough.
Me, I try to gravitate more toward mannerisms, just kind of read the personal vibe. They did do a couple of drills. One of them I had a reel of that we put out, and we may have tweeted it out. I'm not sure. We'll try to get it on our boards too. But the quarterbacks were doing the running back drill where they're getting smacked with that thing, which I thought was good. And I noted in the write-up, Gio looks like a running back who can run between the tackle and the guard. I mean, he could do the inside zone runs. And he can also bounce outside. So it looks like a running back. So I think one of the things that they'll definitely be able to use with him, they probably aren't going to use with Max, is some of those quarterback draws, those delay. They'll run more option. They can run some option with Gio. Throw in there. You can run option out of a pro style. You see a little bit more in the NFL now that we never saw before. So you can do a lot more with Gio in that sense, and he looks strong. He looks like a bullet going through there. When I say a bullet, not like Davion Gostin's speed, but you know how a bullet penetrates? You know, you watch these videos, sometimes it's a slow motion of a bullet penetrating something, and then it drives that thing through. I can see Gio breaking tackles. He's a quarterback who can break tackles at the first level and perhaps even second level of a defense. You could just see that strength and him going through those drills. So that will be intriguing. It sort of explains a lot of what we saw in film from South Alabama. And I will say one other thing, an observation I've had recently, and also based on some conversations, don't read too much in the South Alabama film because it's an entirely different scenario than where he is now, and a very different offense, apparently, than what he's going to run now. So I'll be on wait and see mode for him as a performer, but I like a lot of the isms about him. And I love the guts about Max. And Bryce Baker's just sitting over there doing his thing. And I didn't really look too much at him. But by the way, he was rated higher than Sam and Drake coming out of high school. So
it's a lot to like about him too, man.
Yeah, I think it's an intriguing room. I think I believe in my mind it's a better room today than I believe yesterday.
Yeah. I can kind of agree from talking to you. It does feel like there's a maybe a little bit more of a confidence factor in what they might have back there, especially with how quickly Max has recovered and how, good he looks just in that limited time that you've seen him. Jordan Shipp sounds like he's the real deal, just like we've been hearing and just like we thought he would be based on, again, a small sample size, but I know that was a note in there that kind of caught my eye.
A lot of guys come through, a healthy handful of guys come through that kind of have the Jordan Shipp look, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't end up tapping that potential into the 80, 90% range, which is enough to kind of be who you are. A lot of them get stuck between 40 and 60. Jordan Shipp is skyrocketing toward 85 and 90. He's very smart. He's very thoughtful. He knows the playbook. A lot of guys have these wonderful attributes, but they don't know the plays. A lot of these guys have wonderful attributes and they have breathtaking skills, and you see them at a camp, you're like, my gosh, you got to have that guy. But then you get them into practice and they have to make the breaks. They can't. They're not very good at it. They don't sell it well. They give it away. There's a lot of little things that go into that position group that when you look at Jordan Shipp, the stuff that you saw a year ago that was tantalizing in practice, you're seeing come to life now. I think he's going to have a huge breakthrough season. I think he's WR number one, if you will. I think he's their top wide receiver. I think he's the guy. And I think Isaiah Johnson, I was very impressed with him. And Seth Gutman will tell a great Isaiah Johnson story in the podcast that we do on Monday. The two of them are linked, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And they don't really know it. Or Isaiah may not really know it right now, but Seth knows it. And he'll explain why. I was glad to see Kobe Paysour out there. I'm a huge fan of his. I love his game when it's on. I know that he's been through some stuff, and he's also fought through, and he's still there. So the guys that have been through stuff like the Caleb Hoods and the Kobe Paysours, and they're still there. They're not the shiniest objects in the room anymore, but they're still there. I think the potential for those guys to have very, very solid seasons and find ways to help are there. And I think Kobe could still be a very prolific stat guy. There's a lot of that. His breakthrough game was, App State a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And we talked to him afterward. And remember the shovel pass that Drake had against Pitt? Kobe was on the receiving end of that. The awareness of him to be ready for that ball was as impressive as Drake's throw, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So you've got the potential of Kobe Paysour being back to where he was before the injury, year and a half, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Alex Taylor, Chris Culliver, Vari Green, they've been around as well. I've been hearing all summer that Chris Culliver has been fantastic, and that hey guys, no one's talking about him, but this dude could step up and be huge. Paul Billups, didn't see him out there today. Don't know anything about it at all. But as far as the other new guys go, Jason Robinson from Washington, 155 pounds on the roster. He looked bigger than that today. There were several dudes out there that were small. I mean, they had more small guys among the 14 wide receivers that we saw today than I remember seeing before, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think having guys that you got to have some depth in slot if you're going to run the offense. These guys are. If you're Gio Lopez short pass and these dudes are getting popped, you got to have numbers there. And so they got some of those numbers there. I like the room. I've never had an issue with the room at all. Isaiah Johnson, Nathan Lecoq. From Tennessee, jumps out 6'3", 217. They only have 2 receivers on the roster listed at above 200 pounds. So he clearly jumps out. And he looks like a guy that's got some nice skills that can help them. He's a college dude. He went to Tennessee for a reason. So he might be able to help them a lot too. I don't think Carolina fans should worry about that room. I don't think they should worry about running back. I don't think they should worry about offensive line. There's enough there that I think that's going to be a pretty good group. Tight end, I think, is more suits this offense. If this tight end group a year ago, you'd probably be a little more concerned. But this tight end group for this offense fits a little bit more. The concerns that people are going to have with this team, and rightfully so, are on the defensive side for the reasons you've stated. And I'll let you own that statement, but also the defensive interior. So we got to see a lot of offense today, a lot of positives, a lot of things reconfirmed. And that's often what the first day is, who jumps out and what confirms what you thought. And then maybe a couple of other little vibe things like I described earlier. That's what I got from it today. Very positive day overall, Jacob. I thought Belichick was good. He gave us some information. I've been told that he's getting much more relaxed, much more comfortable, and understanding that we're not the Boston media. We're approaching things differently. There's a different kind of passion with the college fan as opposed to the pro fan. The college fan really does want to know who the passionate ones who sign up to our site. They really do want to know who the backup left guard is, and they want to love him. The pro fan wants to know, well, what are they paying him? Because they have to worry about the salary cap, and is he going to help us or not? If not, get him the hell out of here. It's a different mindset with the college fan. So there's a million things that are different, but he's becoming increasingly comfortable with all of that. And that was a vibe I got today before I was told that later on.
Yeah. I promise this is the last thing. I just wanted to ask you this, and you've hit on it a little bit here, but I know it's a smaller sample size from terms of what we've been able to see, obviously, compared to the Mac Brown tenure, mainly because, we're only a few months into this thing at this point. But just from the practice, and for those who maybe don't remember or don't know, Mac was during practice, was on the headset. You kind of hear him on the loudspeaker. He was talking. He was kind of walking around and wasn't
hydrate.
Yeah, he wasn't as
hydrate.
He wasn't as involved with individual drills and things like that. I forgot he said hydrate all the time, which is right.
Very funny story as I sidebar and interrupt the crap out of you again. At least I'm consistent.
I love a good story.
It's August 3rd, and Mac's walking around practice telling the guys what the temperature is going to be in Atlanta on September 25th. Hydrate. It's going to be 87. Get your water. Hydrate.
I remember.
It's going to be 87 in Atlanta in 49 days. Hydrate. And he's on there, and, good play. Yeah. Got to make that block.
Yeah.
No, it's not a Belichick at all. I didn't hear a whistle. But
I was going to say, what the difference is. Again, the sample size is so much smaller, so you probably can't even answer it yet. But I don't really necessarily. I kind of know what he's doing at practice. I know he's not like that, but just the vibe of the practice. That when you have a head coach on a headset, kind of walking around and making comments like that, it changes the vibe of the practice. What was the vibe like of this practice? And I don't even know if you can answer it yet because it's so short, but I just wanted to ask you about that.
He went to individual groups.
Okay.
Now, Mac used to wander around, and we had a lot of access when he was there. We had a ton of access when Larry was there too at practice. And I talked to Larry during practice a couple of times. Mac would eventually kind of make the rounds to some of us in the media and say a couple of things. He'd give us a little bit about something. We'd ask a question, maybe get a little bit of information that helped us understand the team better. And he was just watching and going, make a few comments, just sort of observing. Belichick is more hands-on. wrote a story about that in the spring, I think, about how he loves being hands-on. His dad was an assistant coach. He was hands-on. I remember coaches back in my day, they will grab you by the jersey and move you, even if you're turning, like you're learning how to pull, turn, move, son, go that way. Belichick's a hand jersey kind of guy, even though you're probably not allowed to touch jerseys anymore, but he's hands-on. So he spent time with wide receivers. Brian Balcom was with us today. And by the way, Brian Balcom, he's on our 40-man roster, but not on the major league roster. So he's on staff, but he's not on staff. And which is great because he can feel when someone goes in the IL, we can call him up from the AAA team and have him come help out like he did today. And He did a great job today because he was observing Belichick. He saw more Belichick than I did, so I'm deferring to him on this or using what he said. But he said he was very hands-on with the receivers, went over the running back group. He's in there, he's pulling a guy aside and talking to him. He's not someone that the kids have to look over and say, is coach watching or not? With Belichick, he's watching.
Mm-hmm.
He's right there. You step wrong, he's going to pull you over, tell you step wrong. So to answer your question, I give the assist and point to the passer, Brian Balcom on that one.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. I had to ask about that, and I just find it just the contrast there. Because again, two legendary head coaches in their own right, but just two completely different personalities and how they go about coaching and doing things. Yeah, and that's what I find that very interesting, especially when we're still trying to figure out, okay, what is Bill Belichick really like when it comes down to this stuff, because you had to have the sample sizes. So yeah, that's super interesting. And I expected that answer from what I've seen in some of the clips that Carolina's put out in the past and what we've heard. And again, just knowing Bill Belichick and what he's done in his career, I think that's the kind of coach he is and wants to be. And again, it's different, but I think it's, it's different in a good way in a lot of ways too. So, but there's so many different ways you can coach, so many different ways to go about things, and there's no necessarily right or wrong way, but having a hands-on guy like that with the stature that he has. I mean, can you imagine if you're just a player on that team and you get Bill Belichick over here telling me what to do stuff? I mean, it's got to be a little bit weird for these guys at times still adjusting to that. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Well, hydrate, man. Hydrate. I'm out over here. I need to put something in this cup. I've been out in the sun too long this week. I have to go
watch a movie. I don't know what it is. We've been watching, we just like to find really weird stuff on YouTube sometimes. We've been watching.
I do the same thing, man.
We went to that period where we were watching people get DUIs.
You told me about this.
Just crash out, get DUI. By the way, am I too old to say crash out? My daughter's been saying that lately.
I think it's fine. I'll give you a pass on it.
I mean, is there like a boomer gets I get like a violation or something, or a demerit point?
Hey man, I'm about to turn 30 in October, so I'm kind of, I don't even know if I can weigh in on that at this point.
Dude, I'm smack dab in the middle of boomer land. So we were watching these guys, these First Amendment auditor guys who go and videotape on public property, and people are like, you can't film me while you're in public. I mean, that was kind of funny watching some of that stuff. And we went through a period where we were watching this stuff about husbands that kill wives who kill husbands and whatnot. And I
can get into some true crime now.
I had to look a few times to make sure she wasn't taking any notes.
Yeah.
Trying to find some ways, she can put arsenic in my food or something like that.
Like, why are you taking notes over there, Ken? What are you doing over there? Why are you writing that down? Yeah.
So I have no idea what's in store for me right now, but I'm about to go take the plunge.
Yeah, man.
I'm about to go take the life balance plunge.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to this stuff, man. I hope a good movie is picked out, but I cannot by any means guarantee you that will happen. But again, this is what you asked for, AJ. So you just have to deal with it and suck it up, man. You sit there, you enjoy that movie whether you like it or not.
I'm gonna get demerits again because I'm gonna go mushy for a second. I'm just glad we're gonna do it. So that's cool.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up. It's been about an hour on this podcast. Again, I expect it to be a long one, and I think we could sit here and talk another hour about this stuff because there's a lot of interesting takeaways and a lot of newness here, man. It's fun to talk about and fun to kind of dive into and discuss a little bit. So I hope everybody watching this enjoyed as always. A couple housekeeping items that I've already mentioned. Links in the description below. 75% off a subscription right now. TarHeal247.com. If you click the link below, it'll take you directly to the sign-up page. You can go ahead and take advantage of this awesome offer we got going on right now. Head on over to our socials if you haven't already. Links in the descriptions below to Facebook and Twitter. And again, I really want you guys to come join our awesome community over here because I keep saying it, and I'm gonna continue to say it. I promise you won't regret it. We've got some really awesome stuff in store, a really great staff. We're already just pumping out the content since we launched this thing on midnight on August 1st. So really, really exciting times ahead. And I can't wait for football season to start now for a number of different reasons, but especially with this awesome staff and group we've got over here. So, yeah, man, did I miss anything, AJ? Am I missing anything?
I've enjoyed meeting new people on the boards.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great Carolina fans. And I love being on the boards. I want to know what people think. I love reading what people say when they ask questions. I want to know what they think about the answers and that kind of thing. So it's been very exciting. So much newness right now. And I don't think I've ever been this charged up for the start of fall camp ever in my life.
Yeah.
And that's because the stuff that I was seeking out, I'm very blessed that it's worked out exactly what I wanted and needed. It's worked out that way. And I'm so grateful and blessed that I've been able to, that you're still with me and David's with me and Kevin's with us, and God bless Kevin. He's cancer free now. And I'm doing my best to kind of keep Bryant sort of nearby, because we all love Bryant as well. And the new guys that are on. I mean, I just so excited about so many things that we've got going on, the direction, the new sites headed, the things that how we can grow there. And the year we have coming up with Carolina Athletics, with Bill Belichick, and then Hubert's got a pressure season. Can't sugarcoat about it. And it's going to be fascinating. And this is going to be an incredible year. So I'm so excited. Remember, guys, it's not the old site on the new one. We are a trillion times bigger, better, deeper, and yeah,
stronger,
like
stronger,
more versatile.
Mm-hmm.
And we have such a strength in numbers behind us that we can do a lot of things I never could approach doing at the old place. So we are so fired up, and it's time to go watch a movie.
Yeah, man, it's time to go watch a movie, and I need to go take a shower, man, because last time I got in any water was White Lake, and that's not the dirtiest lake in America, or the cleanest lake in America, I should say, for those who don't know.
We don't need to know. We don't need to know the aroma thing, right? We don't need to you don't have to force that in our heads to wonder.
No.
I noticed your cat hasn't been all over you today, so maybe the aroma thing.
It's funny you say that, because he has been around. If people are watching this, if you've just been staring at me this whole time, which I know 0% of the population has been.
Well, they're not looking at me, man.
Probably not looking at any of us. I hope they're not. You'll see his tail pop up here, way back here every once in a while. He comes walking into this room a little bit. They were happy to see me today. There's no.
And by the way, a lot of people have asked about Spotify and stuff. We're going to do that. Mm-hmm. We're going to do that. I promise you we're going to do it. Keep reminding us.
Yeah.
Because I got a lot on my plate, and we all have a lot on our plates. And keep reminding us, stay on us, harp on it. That's good, because all you're doing is making sure that we're getting one more nudge. And the more we're nudged, the quicker we'll be able to get that taken care of. I don't have a timeline on right now, but we hear you, and we're going to do it in time. And when we do it, we'll come on here and tell you that we've done it.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too. We're going to do that. And again, bear with us on the rebranding. Bear with me on the rebranding stuff on the YouTube side in particular. Still got a lot of work to do over there, but we'll get it done as soon as we can. So we appreciate everybody as always. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. You know the drill. Things have not changed. Make sure you like. Make sure you share. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell too, so you know every single time we upload. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks.
Thanks.